Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about Brothers of Two Tales. This will probably not be super long because it's not a very complex game and it's very short. So, let's first get our way. It does have a small little booklet inside, and the cover gets done. Gets it basically covered. This is the only physical release of at this time for the PS4 and the Xbox One. I believe digitally it originated on the PC as an indie game. It's on the PS3 and 360 also, I believe, and I think it might be on the Vita too. But physically, it's only on the PS4 and Xbox One at this time. It was an indie game in 2013, I believe, and it kind of advertised itself as a unique puzzle kind of Journey kind of game, and I would kind of compare it a little to Journey because it is that kind of thing where you set out on a quest and you get to see the vast landway and that getting to your goal at the end. But it doesn't impress me as much as Journey, to be honest, sadly though. Now, in this physical release, you get a art gallery, sound gallery, and a director's commentary over some of the gameplay in it. As far as I'm aware, this is not available for any of the digital releases. Then I did watch the director's commentary when I went to go cook something after I finished the game. I did a one-time stream in like 2 hours and 40 minutes and that. In director's commentary, he has some interesting little footnotes about it. I recommend it if you actually are very more curious about the storyline, because he actually talks a little about a few things like that. There are two things specifically that I talked about in my stream that he talked about in the commentary that I'd like to bring up. One goes into the spoiler territory, which is, as usual, at the end of all my ranting and such. But one we will talk about now is talking. Nobody speaks in English or any real language, though the language they are speaking is supposed to be loosely based off the actual language of the creator of the game. And he says if you can speak the language, you might understand some of the things they're saying, but I don't know how accurate that is because I don't know how to speak any other language. So it's not a real language, but it's very loosely based on when he says that. He also said they didn't have professional actors or anything. They had really plain people. So one of the things I talked about on my stream was I'm not really getting behind the emotion of what they were saying, and it's not simply because I can't understand them. I'm really behind like Shadow Colossus and Ico that have completely made up languages. You don't even understand anything in Ico until you play the second time and you actually get subtitles for what the hell they're saying then. So it's definitely not that for sure. But the game, so let's talk about the game storyline real quick. Basically, you play as two brothers, you have control of them, and the father is dying. The mother drowned in the past, and there was a gravestone for that. The little brother's afraid of water because of it, and the father is dying currently, and they gotta go find a cure that's really, really, really far away, and nobody else wants to go get, so they go to go get. Of course, like I said, there's no spoken dialogue that we can understand. It's just gibberish. So you have to kind of interpret how you think they're talking to each other. So it's a lot of visual cues and self-interpretation of what's going on in that with the world. The creator says they wanted it to be like that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, look at the Souls games. That's a very defining feature is to use a lot of the environment to tell a lot of interesting little stories in the Souls games. So that certainly isn't a bad element. And there are a few points in the game where that comes into play, but I don't think it's as much. But that's just me. When this game was new, a lot of people said it is a very sad game. They cried and stuff, and not to sound like the heartless monster, but I didn't feel it myself, just to say it. And I think that's solely, I think most of my audience would probably be in that camp, because a lot of us play RPGs, And a lot of us have played very sad RPGs with horrible deaths of characters that, we've spent possibly hundreds of hours with, depending on how long you played the game. And we're talking about a game here that I only got close to spending 3 hours with no backstory or anything on these characters, really, aside from their mother was dead and she drowned. That's literally the only background stuff you get, is a little dream thing in the beginning that their mother was dead, and that's it. It never goes into the past about anything else. So, kind of hard to get too attached to the characters, so I don't think a lot of big RPG buffs are going to feel big manly tears crying down in this particular title, but that ain't to say it ain't worth playing. It's a $20 title for the physical release. I'm not sure how much it is digitally, but I kind of feel like it's worth $20, but I'll get into that as we go. Gameplay. It is supposed to be a puzzle game, but it is very, very light on puzzles. It's more about the journey going forward towards your goal with very minor puzzles. You're familiar with stuff like Professor Layton this is Beginner's Guide 101 stuff. Like this, no challenge at all. No challenge at all if you're used to Professor Layton kind of stuff. You're not going to get any challenge here. This is just a relax game. Sit down, brain torn off kind of thing. The gameplay is very different, you could say. Each brother is controlled with one of the analog sticks. The big brother was the left analog stick, I believe, and the little brother was the right one, I believe. And the appropriate L and R2 trigger of that analog stick is the interactive button, and there's a lot of stuff you can interact with, and there's some puzzles where both brothers have to work together to accomplish certain things, and those are probably the most complex complex puzzles in the game. I really don't know what else to really talk about aside from probably my favorite part of the game was the part with the troll. And that's pretty early in the game, so that's not a big spoiler there. But I'd say at this point we're going to go to spoilers, because there ain't a lot of stuff to talk about, aside from its price point of $20 for the physical release. I kind of don't feel like it's worth that much. It's kind of a forgettable game to me, personally. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'd say maybe 15 or lower. But you might have to kind of... Because I find it tricky to go below $10. Because, $10 ain't a crap load of money. And if a game's really enjoyable, $10 can be a very good deal, too. So, it's kind of a wishy-washy spot there. So, I guess you kind of have to... If we be generous and say it's a 3-hour game, what would you say is worth a decent but not incredibly memorable 3-hour game? I guess you would have to ask yourself. But again, that's me. I don't think it's a very memorable game. But there was a lot of people who liked the game and said they cried and it touched them a lot. So, and that kind of thing varies from person to person. Neo, Shadow Colossus, or stuff that made me really sad and cry in that, and other people like, just a bunch of blah 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 blah. Look at DSP when he ever plays anything Japanese. Blah 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 blah. While Sniper Wolf is dying in Metal Gear Solid 1. Blah 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 blah. So obviously those kind of things will vary from person to person. So personally, I don't think it's going to be something I would remember. So going into spoiler territory, so of course, in the video here, if you don't want to go there, or if you have beaten the game and or want to know my opinion of that material, let's move on. So, I do like how they did the trophies and achievements, and because the Cradle in the commentary thing, you said that they will. The idea was they will like little side stories, and I wouldn't categorize all of them like that, but there's one in particular I definitely would, and I like the whole idea. There's a guy you will find who will try to commit suicide when you walk near him. you can save this man or let him die. My immediate reaction, I had the older brother go up and try to grab him, which you could, to stop him from choking, and have the little brother climb up the tree and untie him and have him fall. Now, at this point, I didn't see anything else I could do with him. The kiddos, patted him on the back to encourage him, going expecting the scene, and this is probably my favorite kind of interactive environmental scene in the game, to be honest, because personally I don't think there's as much, the Cradle really say there's a lot of story in the environment. I don't know, maybe it's just because I play the Souls games, I don't feel it's as deep. That could be it, but I really do like the scene, and the Cradle himself sound very proud about it too, so I'm glad we can both agree on that for sure, though. There's a burnt down house, and you can see two bodies, one that looks like a young little body, so it looks like a mother and a child under a cover, and it looks like, obviously something happened to that. Now, I didn't actually know there was something else I could have done here, and I found this out in the commentary thing. The commentary thing basically goes over all the achievements and that, so you can learn how to figure all of them out if you even watch that. But you could actually fall off a little cliff and find a little side path to get into the house and find a little music box and bring it back to the man, and this would give him hope and courage to carry on, and he would bury his wife and child, and you could stand there and encourage him, and you help this person realize that ending his life wasn't going to make anyone happy, and could even hurt his wife and child's feelings more. So you just help this person kind of overcome a really horrible moment in their life for that. So I really like that. That's probably the one thing I'll really take away from this game. That scene actually was really nice. I like that. I like that scene a lot. That I definitely will probably be one of the things, if I ever look at the game, it'll be the thing I will remember about the game. And there are a few other little things that they ain't as good as that one in my opinion, but there's a few other ones. There's one where you can throw a basketball down a well. I wouldn't call that a side story, but okay. But you go through the journey, you go through an area where giants had a war, a cult, and then you start going into a wasteland with this girl you saved. Sadly, she's a spider, attacks the older brother, you escape, you find the cure, and the sad scene is your brother dies. Your older brother dies during the scene, so and I kind of like this idea, it's kind of interesting. You killed off the left analog stick, it's dead. One of the primary analog sticks is dead, so now you're just using the right analog stick and no longer interacting with that stick for now. And that is an interesting, I like it when Kratos think outside the box, kind of think of a way to somehow touch you in the physical world. That's why I liked it with Neo's True Ending, how it actually will destroy your time and save data to give you a feeling of loss. That's a very interesting idea there, and this is an interesting physical way of giving you a different feeling of that. So you continue your journey, and this is pretty much the tail end of the game, and you get to a scene where you have to swim, and if you remember, the little brother was scared of swimming. Now, during this, when I figured out what you do is you go in the water, and you have to use the left trigger or the L2 button for the dead brother, and he will swim. It's like he's gaining the encouragement of his brother to push himself to do things he wasn't able to do by himself. And basically the puzzle's going on forward or like that. Now, during my live stream, I questioned, why didn't you use the analog stick, the actual act of movement, to illustrate that? Because I felt like that would have made more sense. But he actually kind of touched on that in the commentary. Well, he didn't directly talk about the analog stick itself. He did talk about why he did a trigger button. He wanted the feeling that the brother was helping you though, like he was there helping you. So that would make sense because that's the interaction button. So he's interacting with you. So it kind of makes sense why he did that, and I get that now. But at the time, the brother was swimming, so it kind of made sense to me with the analog stick, kind of control helping him swim. You get what I mean? But basically, the little brother will make it back to his father, get the cure, his father's saved, but sadly his brother died. They make another little gravestone for him, even though his body was impossible to take with him because, they were so far away from home. And it shows the scene, the father crying, but the little brother is still standing, and it's like a sign of showing him growing up a bit, and that's pretty much the end now. It's a pretty simple story, nothing too complex or anything there, so it has a lot of feel it, done that kind of stuff to me, to be honest. We're at a point in the game industry where it's really, really, really incredibly hard to do almost anything really original. So when somebody does something really original, it's a really big deal a lot of times in the game industry. So it's not a bad game. It functions. The worst thing I really came across was a few clipping issues with the environment, with a few things. There's a few weird moments where I seen things clip into each other. But aside from that, it functions, it works. Whether it's worth $20 to you kind of varies, but you could always wait for a price drop, or probably get the PC version off Steam on a sale or something. If you see it for a good price, check it out. But I'd say $20 might be a little bit much on that. But that's my thoughts on A Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. If you have any comments or anything you would like to ask about, please leave a comment down below. And I will see you next time, my son bros. Keep praising the sun and live on for the fallen.
Bishumaya.
Hey, Hanahon, Sarihi. Hon. Ja. Ja. Tanai Hon.
Na.
아따. 일. 웬다히 알라티야?
Iya, Mali.
자. 나이. 혼이다. 디야, 아타이. 달링. 다.